Hey everybody, it's Jay, and we've done a lot of videos on the WBP Fox rifle, which is what I have in front of me. Chances are, if you do a search for WBP Fox, you're probably going to find one of our videos near the top of the list. And honestly, that's not because our channel is super popular or important. It's more because we've done a lot of videos on the WBP Fox rifle. This is going to be another one, but I thought I'd take a little different tack this time and talk about why I picked the WBP Fox to be my go-to AK, to set it up to where it would be about as perfect ergonomically and functionally for myself as I could get. So I'm going to do this in list format, and of course lists are usually subjective. This one is no different, and I'm going to start with sort of least important factor up to the most important factor. So starting at number 3, from the least most important thing, is this is a Polish-made gun. And I have a pretty extensive Polish collection. It was one of those accidental collection type things that we've talked about a few times on our channel, where when I was looking into getting into surplus guns, Polish guns were often on the very low end of price and on the very top end of availability. And so that ended up with me buying a lot of Soviet versions, Polish versions of Soviet era designs. And what I quickly found is Polish guns tend to be really well made, like really good fit and finish, just really, overall, generally really reliable and solid. So I ended up buying quite a few Polish guns. So all things being equal, if I have the choice to get a gun and there's a Polish one available, I'm probably going to get the Polish one because I collect Polish guns. So not the most important aspect, but definitely a factor in why I ended up picking one of these up, especially when there are other options available, like Wassers at the time, NPAP, now ZPAP, etc. Let's talk about point number 2. Point number 2 is price. Whenever I bought mine, I bought it as a sporter, which had these handguards that are on it here, and then a thumbhole stock and no threaded muzzle. But I could pay a gunsmith about $50 to have that conversion done, and at the time, the sporter versions of these rifles were going for $6.99. The last time I saw a flyer, they were around $8.20, I believe, but I'm always loath to quote price on a YouTube video because in 3 years someone will say, no, well actually they're this much. Well, that's what they were today, and whenever I bought mine 2 years ago, they were $6.99. So whenever comparing to other options on the market at that time, again, we're talking 2 years ago, so 2018, we had Wassers, which retail price new in box was $700 to $800, and then we had NPAPs, which were getting a little bit more difficult to find, for around $700. So this was price competitive once you figured that in order to get one set up how I wanted it, which is with an AR buffer tubes adapter, with a folding stock, with a cheek riser. I was probably going to end up having to drop the wood furniture on whatever gun I bought anyway in order to put polymer tactical stuff on it. So even having to buy conversion parts and pay a gunsmith to convert, it was pretty price competitive with what was available on the market then. So at $6.99, I thought these were generally a great deal, especially whenever you consider my main reason for picking one of these up, and that is the build quality. So I already mentioned that Polish guns tend to be pretty well made. And this gun, even though it's not made by FB Radom, is no exception. It is a very smooth operating gun, which it's a little dirty right now, so it's a little bit gritty. I don't think I've actually cleaned it in 2 years. But it is quite smooth. And more importantly, it's been 100% reliable. I've never had a failure with this gun. Now, WBP has worked closely, purportedly, with FB Radom in order to try to produce really high quality parts. The barrel itself is cold hammer forged, chrome lined, and made by FB Radom. Rob Ski did a 5,000 round test on a WBP Fox, and it did well. So overall, these seem to have been pretty well received by the community, and my experience so far has been very positive. The only complaint that a lot of people have is that the paint tends to rub off fairly easily, at least it did. But this goes back to one of those things that I really appreciate about WBP is that they listen to their customer base, and then they've made improvements as well. Supposedly, the paint has gotten better on these. I can't speak to that because I don't have a newer one. This, in fact, is one of the original imports that was brought in. So mine still has fairly not durable paint, we'll say, but that is purely a cosmetic thing, and it does not bother me a bit. I don't care. I don't mind the bubbly paint on, supposedly, on Arsenals. It just doesn't bother me, and it doesn't bother me on this either. So that's something that bothers some people more than others. Like I said, it's more of a cosmetic thing than a functional thing. But as far as I know, that's really the only complaints that a lot of people have issued about these guns. So generally, again, if we're talking about having a go-to gun, one that I'm really going to put a lot of rounds through, and I have put quite a few rounds through this so far, you're going to want something that's going to be known to be reliable. And to that end, WBP has been pretty good. It seems like very solid with their build quality. So that's the most important reason why I picked this to be my go-to rifle. A little bit about what I've put on it. I think I mentioned earlier, we have the original handguards that came on the Fox Sporter. That works fine. I like the feel of them. I had Archer handguards on there for a while, but they were a little smooth for me. I wanted something with a little more aggressive texturing, so I went with that. We have a barrel pistol grip. I like these because they're a little bit thicker than the standard AK pistol grip. And then I've put a Magpul CTR stock because I wanted to have a cheek riser for an optic. And I like the fact that the CTR has that cam lever on it to snug the stock down to the buffer tube. And then we have a folding adapter because I also wanted a folding stock made by CNC Warrior. You can see it sticks out a little bit here because we also have an extended safety, which I picked up from AKOU, along with the fighter brake, also from AKOU. Then I have a Midwest Industries Gen 2 lower profile mount, which is an ACOG style mount, and then a Primary Arms prismatic scope. I found these generally to be pretty reliable too, and I really like the ACSS reticle. So yeah, basically we have what I consider to be my ideal go-to AK rifle in 7.62 by 39. And like I said, I have no complaints about it at all. So there you have it. My 3 reasons why I picked one of these up. For 1, it's Polish. 2, the price to get into one. And number 1, because they really are, I think, in my opinion, exceptionally made rifles. Exceptionally well-made rifles. So this is Jay. Hope you liked the video. Please click like if you did. Be sure to check out our backlog and subscribe to us if you haven't already. And be sure to check out the link to our Patreon page if you're interested in helping support us. And we'll see you again soon next time.